In this video, I'm going to be talking about freehand perspective. And I have a still life set up, and when you start with a still life, you want to start with a sketch. I'm creating a smaller space to do two different sized drawings. I'm holding my pencil at the end so that I'm not tempted to do any detail or like be too heavy-handed with my pencil drawing. Unfortunately, I made it a little bit too light. I'll go in and make it a little bit darker in a little bit here. So again, I'm making two different size drawings to show that this freehand perspective, the idea behind it is that you can, now I'm trying to show you what I drew and realizing it's too hard to see. So I'm going super fast, and I want to show you that you can use this freehand perspective method in order to get um, any size drawing you want. So very quickly, you want to hold your pencil out in front of you, locking your elbow, and you can move it side to side, keeping it parallel to your chest, and kind of angle it or line it up with angles that you see and bring it down to your drawing and get those angles very quickly. You can also use it to create these imaginary grid lines. So, the edge, the right hand edge of that bottle, as it goes down, where does it end up cutting into the orange? It's sort of more than halfway cutting through the orange. And so I have it pretty well there. But on my smaller drawing, I put it kind of in the wrong spot. So I'm just shifting it over. And you would certainly do more of this. I'm just doing a very, very quick version. So at this point, I am choosing that red cap as my constant. This is my unit of measure. I'm going to start by using the end of my pencil and lining it up with the left side of my cap, and then you moved my thumb to the other side of the cap, and I would normally put a piece of tape there, but I didn't have any ready. So my unit of measure is that width of the cap, so I'm not going to change it on either drawing. It's going to remain the same width, and so everything else will be drawn in proportion to that. So again, if I had that piece of tape and I'm holding my hand out and I lock my elbow, I get the constant. And now I can measure how many of those widths of the bottle um, is it deep from top to bottom, like how long is the bottle cap. And it was about a third of the width. And so I had it about right. Okay, well, now let's get that constant again, the width of the bottle cap, and turn my hand vertically and just kind of walk it down. And I'm trying to count how many times it goes in there. And I think I measured it wrong and I thought it was 5.5, but it really should be 4.5. So my drawing ended up looking weird. So now what I'm doing is I'm just using that number. It should be 4. But for now, we'll just keep saying 5.5. So 5.5 caps long is what the height of my bottle should be. So you can see I made it way too short. So let's see how wide my bottle should be. I get my constant. And again, I think I made a mistake and I said that it was about 2 caps wide, but I think when it comes down to it, it was really a cap and a half. So there's 1 cap, 1, 2. And then I'm just kind of like connecting the dots a little bit. And you can see I can get like the rough angle of the top of the bottle, and I would bring it down. Anything that is perpendicular to the ground, so any vertical lines should be parallel to the edge of your paper and parallel to each other. You could use a ruler here if you wanted to for the sides of the bottle and the sides of the tape. So I'm just kind of making sure it's about where it should be. And I would do the same. That 5.5, I would take 5.5, whatever the width is of the cap that I drew on this smaller drawing, I would take 5.5 of those caps and go from the top of the bottle down to see, how long it is. So now I'm just making sure that I have it correct. If it really is 2 um, bottle caps wide, but it really is more like 1.5. So I get 1 and then 2.5. So 1.5 or not 2.5, but 1 and then 2, and then I moved my finger back to make it a half. And so I bring that information down and I kind of I'm redrawing. There's going to be a lot of sketching, erasing, redrawing, so you don't want to do anything with detail. Now I'm trying to figure out, like, from edge to edge, from the edge of the left side of the bottle, how many cap sizes over is the right edge of the tape. And I said about 5 or so. So I get my bottle cap from my drawing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I drew the edge of the tape not wide enough. And that makes sense. I also realized, like, I may have overlapped it too much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, I actually need the edge of my tape to kind of go over to the edge of my paper. And here's where, as things start to shift, if you find that your drawing goes off the page, you may need to redraw everything. And if the size of your constant changes, then you have to redraw everything within proportion. So I'm trying to see, do I have the tape in the correct spot, the left side of the tape, 1.5? And so it was a little bit wrong on my smaller one. And that's the idea with this method. It is to give you a rough idea of how to draw something within proportion to a single, to everything else.